This is the MDC Talks. We are the Motion Dance Collective, and we specialize in the creation, presentation, and education of dance on film practice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Today we have a very, very special guest. Antoine Marc is here with us today. Yeah. We out here. We're bringing the big games in here.
That's how it is. It's a play. It's like serious business.
Serious business. And Anna Clifford is with us as well, and James Williams, and we're just going to have a little talk. The first question we asked everyone. Thank you for joining us, by the way.
Oh, pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Cool. Yeah, the first question we asked everyone is like, what's their? Because Screendance is quite a new term to quite a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I was going to say is, what is your journey into the Screendance world?
The journey, that's quite a long one. So not really sure where to
was there a first time that you experienced being, because you come from a dance background?
So dance actually came first in the sense of I started dancing when I was 4 years old. But then in terms of studies, I actually went to uni, like in Lyon, to actually study filmmaking. And went to French Guiana like for a couple of months to work in a local TV as a video editor.
Oh,
yeah.
What?
It was.
Didn't know this.
Surprise! yeah. But because I think it was like ages ago. I was young and foolish, and yeah, like this experience was mad because, like I said, it was a local TV. So because of that, I had to do because it was like two young, innocent people, and we had to do anything. It was the first time that I was hit with the challenge of editing a 1 hour show in 20 minutes.
Ooh.
Which was confusing, and I was like, what's happening? Like, what? So yeah, and after that, moved to the UK, where I was like properly, solely, I would say, into dance. And then I started there was that desire of bringing back that elements of film, and it was like in 2010, 2009, that I started to really bring the two together. And I would say, yeah, that was my first step into screen dance. With Loving You was, my first dance film.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Amazing.
I was just saying to Anna before you arrived that I'm really keen and really passionate about getting more people that have solidly film experience into the conversation about screen dance, because I personally feel like screen dance has been built by dancers. So it's a very biased perspective on the digital form, on film. So to hear that you're coming from a film background and having that experience sort of and bringing that over into dance, I think is really important. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about what you have to say.
yeah, thanks. And it's true, like, because definitely that's something that we'll be talking about, but I always find it crucial, no matter what you are into, what you're trying to bring together, because we all know screen dance, it's a hybrid art form. So in terms of merging two art forms together, it's really a matter of getting access to both elements, but in terms of like the technicality of both, as well as their artistry as well. So it's really, I would say that's really the challenge, to combine the two, artistry with the technical aspect of it.
100%.
Yeah, and then, so that leads on to my next question quite nicely, because now we're in a realm, like when I started making work, it was solely screen dance, like single screen works, right? So stuff for the cinema, stuff for maybe your phone or for YouTube, right? But now we're seeing more and more artists, including yourself, bleeding between the world of the live and the world of the digital. And again, that's another hybrid of its own, and I'm sure it comes with its own challenges and sensibilities. But I just wondered if you could talk about that. Was that a natural transition to kind of go into making your first screen dance work, and then going back into the live again?
It was natural because it's so different to actually have that direct connection with the audience, because it feels like there is a direct response. So it can be harsh or it can be amazing sometimes. So you have those interactions and you see when something is actually working. You have direct feedback.
To that, yeah.
And you also see when it's not working, it's like, oh, okay, let's change things. So to me, to actually integrate that live part enriched the Screendance elements and aspect of things. So that's why, like, now, well, I say now, like, it's been a few years, like 3-4 years, I really make a point in the sense of going to festivals and things, not letting just the film tour on its own. It's really being there.
Being present.
Yeah, so there is a sense of, obviously it's not the same, but there is a sense of, again, direct feedback.
Yeah, feeling that energy of the film actually impacting the people who view it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And how it's received.
Yeah.
Being, actually feeling it in the space.
Yeah, precisely. And really, it's really of a matter of feeding the two. So I feel like one is feeding the other.
Right, yeah, and vice versa. Are there any difficulties now with bringing technology into the live space? We all know how hard it is to maybe get like a live camera on the stage or try and do all those plugins. But again, what's the name of the piece with the drones?
Luminous, right?
Luminous, yeah.
So are there a lot of challenges when it comes to touring a work where you're actually touring technology as well with you? Many challenges,
and I would say most of the challenges are actually technical. It's been like 3 years and a half, nearly 4 years now that I started working with drone technology, and it's a matter of merging dance with drone in the sense of we are choreographing the drones with now LED lights elements, also sync to the music, and so that's what we are doing in terms of using technology, more specifically autonomous drone technology with dance.
So technical.
That's it.
It's technical, definitely like a few challenges, like I said, and exactly like we were saying, like you were saying, in a sense of sometimes it feels like it, but that's also the danger of it. To say that, oh, dance is fine, let's focus on the technicality, but it's like, dance is still the part that, personally, I find that's what make it relatable to the audience. Because when you see how people react to the drones on his own, and when you have someone interactive, it kind of make it feel like, if it feels like the audience is actually in between the drones with
because they can put themselves into the place of the dancer, right? Right.
So the human element of the film is still really important to you, even though you're starting to incorporate these really detailed, really intricate, technical aspects. It's still, you still want it to have that human element that keeps it alive in all of the audience's eyes.
Yeah, of course. Because I feel like even in Screendance, that's what turn and create masterpieces is when the human elements it's put forward, and that's why coming back to the traveling and stuff like that with film festival and blah blah, it's also a great opportunity to see different work, connect with other artists, and you see some amazing stuff. Like just a few months ago I was in New York, and there was like organized by Dance Film Association, Dance Film Association.
Yeah.
And within the festival, they put Sisters, which is a dance film from Netherlands by Daphne Lokke, if I remember well, and it is like amazing. But it's really immersive and with the sound design and it's a story of 3 sisters, and you really like connect with it. So I feel like even in Screendance, when there is that element of putting forward that humanity, and I would say even in your latest work. I don't know if it's your latest, but I'm thinking of Finding My Feet.
Oh yeah. Right.
Oh yeah.
When you talk about something so personal, but yet you share it with the viewers, but mostly in a sense of having it communicated through the emotion, through the expression, because of course there is a voiceover, but we see the emotion in your face, in how you place your feet, and I feel like those elements kind of convey so many things in Screendance. And
and I don't think they could have. I don't know if that could work as a live piece. I mean, I always say that the best screen dances, or not the best screen dances, but I guess ones that you would kind of consider to be screen dance fully, is ones that can't exist in a live space.
Yeah.
And that's how you truly can really say that the film and the dance have really come together as one, because now they can't exist without one another.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to kind of create work with that in mind. But that's why I'm so fascinated about the live and the digital.
Yeah.
Because it's then, okay, wait, now they both exist within both worlds, and now I have to create with that in mind. And so I just find it very fascinating, the work that you're doing. It's really, really cool.
Oh, thanks. But yeah. As you said, there are so much more that can be done. I'm thinking of the piece, I think it's called Over the Moon, By the Moon, Moon something, Netherlands Dance Theatre.
Right, okay.
When they have a live feed integrated. I don't know if you've seen this piece.
I've seen trailers for it,
with a rotating. I was fortunate enough to see it live in Sadler Wells last year.
And you said it had a rotating stage?
Right. And a screen above it, and actually camera sometimes capturing live elements, but from a different point of view.
Right.
Extremely. And that, for example, that's an extremely interesting way. So it's not Screendance, obviously, but it's integrating filmic
elements into the work.
Dance, visual.
No, but then I guess you could argue that it also is, but then a different type. It's a hybrid of
And that's moving maybe more into installation, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna condone screen dance to be an umbrella term, then we can say it has many parts, moving parts to it, and so the way it exists within a live space is also a part of that, because particularly if you're using a screen in that instance, which could be an interesting discussion. You even look at work like Jess and Morgs. They've created what was that piece that you filmed for them, where they did with the students, where they actually had the live. It's like the best I've ever seen live and dance.
I can't think what
Nice.
something night. I can't think of the name now, but it was with the Dance East Cat scheme.
Right.
And they developed a piece.
And to the point where there was interactions between the person on the screen, like they would blow like this. And all the dancers would drop down, and I've never seen that interaction. Usually they're separate. That's the documentary.
And bringing in, they were also incorporating pre-recorded footage with live recording. So you were always guessing, is this actually, are they filming this now? Are they filming this in another location? Like, you never really knew what was live and what was pre-recorded, and the interaction of that kind of kept you guessing and kept you interacting with it in another space, which was kind of unique.
Very interesting.
But again, two worlds colliding, and I think one important thing with that is the aspect of collaboration. And so in regards to the drone piece, what was your collaboration there? Who handles the technical side of things, and who handles the choreography?
So choreography is under whether by me or by associated choreographers, and the technical aspect of it's engineers. So the same thing, originally it was 3 people including myself, and now there are a couple of engineers and technicians as well, in the sense of the repair aspect of things, sort of replacing some pieces, and also the software development, because at the beginning we were working with MATLAB, which is like a coding
system. Yeah.
In a sense of we used that to again choreograph the drone, but since we have developed a plugin from Unity, that we call Symphony, and so all of that obviously does involve other people to make
members.
it.
Right.
So when it came to actually choreographing the drones with the engineers, what did that conversation look like? Because I imagine you had in your mind what the drones were doing alongside the human dancing and all the different elements of choreography that you had to go through. But how did you then communicate that to the engineers?
In code.
And was it like, what was that conversation like exactly? Because we've talked about the interesting conversations about the language barriers, a dancer or a choreographer speaking to a filmmaker and trying to find
the relationship of choreographer and director on a dance film can be very fluid.
Yes.
They're almost the same person.
Yeah, they're so similar.
So in this way, is the technician and the choreographer working it also as a symbiotic relationship?
Yeah, it's really, especially at the beginning, it was a matter of testing the limitation of the technology because it was unknown for both parties.
Right.
For me,
it was new, first
I was like,
time.
I don't know. And from their side of it, they were like, dance what? So
He just gave us a little jive, by the way.
Yeah,
You
just
can't
grooving,
see
yeah.
Antoine right now, but he just gave us a little something.
So from both sides, it was just a mystery. So it was just a matter of experimenting with what was already created. So to go a little bit further back with the story quickly. So basically, initially the drone company, they're the one who actually invented the technology. We started with the carpet technology, which is like a geometric and colorimetric system. So they created, like, just to showcase their drone in Las Vegas, in like a tech show, CES, which is like happening every year. And from that, with the first show, we took some elements that they had created, and then we distorted them. We tested like with more drones, tested some limitations in the sense of how fast they can go, how slow, in terms of flipping, and how precise the technology is. Before putting anyone
in danger, of course.
In the first video, I feel like I may still have it. The first test, so you can see me with wearing gloves, long sleeve, with hat and glasses. Just
Dancing
my
in
life
bubble wrap.
for the sake of a creative advancement or something. Not even advancement, just experimentation. So
Trying something new.
Always.
So what advice would you give to people who are looking to try things with lots of different disciplines involved? Do you know what I mean? Like, what would you say to that? Is it about the testing beforehand?
Yeah, it's about the testing. It's about trying to take full advantage of what is already available, and then from there trying to find your own voice and where you want to go to kind of early on define your goals so that you know what you have to learn and where you want to go. Because obviously it will feel overwhelming because you're tackling something that you don't know. So by doing so, in a sense of starting learning what has already been done, experimenting from there, you kind of start integrating the things that you know are working. And from there, it's just a matter of investigating what you want to do with what is there. Before starting, I'm going to do something different. It's like, let's start with that. And then that's where like collaboration is beautiful, because not only you're going to combine different set of knowledge, but also you're going to test out your ideas. And I find like it's super crucial to have a great team, and obviously, team members in your group, in a sense of being really open-minded and always sharing feedback, whether it's positive or negative, but always having a justification. Because what I've seen that is doing, it's really refining not only the direction but also the practice. And you see that sometimes it helps you really polish what you want to do, or having a extra, or create that justification. It's like, actually doing that because.
And sometimes you need to be challenged by someone else in order to figure out what you're actually trying to say,
so true.
right?
Yeah, so true.
Because it can be all happening up here in our heads, but until you actually are able to, I don't know, vocalize it or express it to another person, that's when you maybe fully realize the extent of what you want to say with that particular work.
Yeah, so true. So in terms of formulating new ideas, and it's true that challenge, it's actually should always be welcomed, because whether you agree or not, like this type of disagreements is a good thing as long as you have the right team members, because there will be justification, there will be clarification, and then you go forward from it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, knowing that you're challenging in order to move forward.
Yeah.
It's constructive.
The type of challenge is like, I don't like it. It's like, but why? And I'm gonna add the same thing for, oh my god, it's amazing. Why? So, like, why do you connect with it?
Why do you like it?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's good?
It's sometimes actually harder. It's like, it's good.
It is. And the thing is that even at schools now, that's what we teach students. That's why they go to university, really, is to be able to think. Because we ask the students, what do you think of this piece? And they'll go, it's good. And then we have to really drag out. But then what happens is that after we leave, we stop practicing that. We stop practicing being able to actually give feedback to people. So when we go to the festivals and we want the feedback from our work, everyone's just going, it's good. It was really nice. Oh yeah, that was the one with the sheep in the field, because that's how they remember. Because there's so many films. They'll be like, that's the one with the water. That was mine. No, that was good. That's good. But I think that's something that to our listeners out there as well, we can, and all artists, we can go back to practicing. Maybe giving feedback to one another, because we go to these film festivals, we go to these networking opportunities to show our work and actually get that, because sometimes it's the only time we get it, it's the only thing we get.
I have, coming back to that, why is something good? I think you're right, it is almost harder to answer that question than... Because when something's wrong, you have a strong reaction to it, right? If something doesn't resonate with you, you generally know what it is. You probably know what it is.
Exactly.
But when something really hits home, like, so I do it a lot now when I'm watching movies. So I react very strongly with just movies in general. I love movies. And I'll cry at movies all the time, right? And every time a movie makes me cry, I'm always like, oh, shit. This is really getting me. Why is this movie really... why is that moment made me cry? And then I start going back through the scenes. Because that character had this journey, and then they went here, and they had this realization, and that set me up to relate to them in this way. And then they set that perfectly up for this moment where this happened, and it just hurts so much. So it's like, it's answering for myself. Okay, why is this movie making me react so strongly? Like, why do I like this movie? Why is it hitting home? And I think having that, like you say, having that practice of asking yourself why is really valuable to the creative process. And when you come to make your own work.
No, exactly. And in that example, Dissent sends a shiver down my spine, and also just makes me float on air at the same time. It's like one of those weird, because it's like things happen that look extremely beautiful. Extremely, like, I don't think, I'm actually wondering if it was maybe it was the first time I'd seen a black female body in Screendance.
Oh, Shade.
It might have been the first
Shade.
time. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
And it was insane. And then you've got the moments of the honey.
Yeah.
The honey coming out of the mouth. I remember I asked you what that was at the time. I remember that. The honey coming out of the mouth, and then that opening shot of the back. I'd always remember that shot.
Yeah. That's what really sticks with me.
Wide ass lens, and the whole body's in it.
And the way it's lit, just that musculature that you can see every fraction of emotion just in the back.
Like Dissent. Do you know what I mean? Like, we need to practice being able to do that with one another. The same way you said with Finding My Feet, we looked at it as like things that we actually, you noticed that. Yeah. You know, I actually, you're right. I worked hard to actually get that shot. I was thinking about that in that moment. So yeah, I think it's really great for us artists to come together and do that a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. And by doing so as well, we will notice some technical aspect of it. Because as you said, definitely in terms of the emotion, in terms of connecting. And it's crazy like how many people are connected with Dissent. Yeah, that's absolutely insane. Because in the terms of the creative process, what often I do is I talk about something really personal, but as like through different images, and then create a structure, so that it's my way of keeping it private, but at the same time sharing it.
You don't have to share everything.
It's kind of to a point where it's okay. Here's the
kind of a self-protection.
Here's a representation of what I'm really.
You don't want to be completely naked to the audience. Like, this is everything.
Showing one leg, just like this. One naked leg. But I found that it may be because of that. It became that piece where everyone was able to interpret it their own way and really take it somewhere else that I was not even thinking of. So
not your intention, but it resonated with them because everyone had a different thing to take from it.
And is that statement also not the best thing about Screendance in general? That you can create something with a meaning, with a personal meaning, with a defined concept, and present it in a way that is completely interpretable by each person that watches it.
Yeah.
But I feel like as long as the journey and the structure is clear, I'm okay with that, because in a way the direction will be similar. Because for example, Dissent, there's really this journey of sadness and reaching that finite moment within that structure, and I feel like everyone can relate to that, because we all went through different struggle, and there's a sense of having that moment when everything is really low, really
hit its bottom.
And so it doesn't matter what version of that moment you may experience, it might be different. As long as we experience what that feeling is as a collective, then you've done well in getting that point across, right?
And I feel like, because I do understand, James, like your worry in the sense of if it is too general, it will be interpreted in so many different ways that it will lose its meaning. At the same time, that's one of the reasons why I'm in love with Screendance, because I feel like it's a way of connecting straight to the soul, so that when you manage to create that bridge which somehow synchronize two different emotions, two different moments, even if the sense of that moment is essentially different, but the state is identical, then it kind of creates that natural discussion, that natural similarity. And it's so far I feel like that abstract nature, it's in a way what make it possible to really connect straight into in that sense, in that way.
And I think that's exactly why that film dropped, like, and landed for so many people. Because it is quite an abstract presentation. Lower down. But because it is quite an abstract presentation of the narrative, I would say, it's not particularly literal. However, because of what you're speaking to, and because of the way it's presented and the structure that you were just talking about, everyone understands what it's saying.
Yeah.
In their own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's because obviously still working on it, but funny enough, it's really because at times the challenge with Screendance, it's really in terms of engaging the audience from the beginning till the end.
Right.
And sometimes, especially with medium, which sometimes pretend to be Screendance, but which aren't. For example, when you film a choreography in a dance studio, that's not Screendance. It's just an archive. It's we're just recording the piece itself, which is different.
Yeah.
But yeah, to have that connection, and it's crazy because I remember showing that film after we also to a friend of mine on a mobile phone with the speakers, so the sound quality, and she started crying. I was like, oh my god!
Wow.
Yeah. That was mad. That was absolutely mad.
That's amazing, though.
Yeah, because the set was nuts. The circumstances was.
And we were just talking about that just earlier about the difference between experiencing a film on a phone versus on a big screen in a cinema, and there are some directors who say you can only watch my film on a big screen. But and of course it's interesting because everyone has their own idea of how their work should be curated and presented. Yeah. But to have that kind of impact with that friend of yours that's literally watching it on a phone screen, probably in public or something casual, who knows. And for it to hit that hard.
But that's the thing, there's power in that. I mean, what I admire about that Alex Rubin, that's his name. What I admire
Who's
about
Alex Rubin?
He's the person who said my work is only to be screened in the cinema space.
Oh, okay.
So what I like about that is that he made those works with that in mind. So when you understand the power of that, because we just make work sometimes and go, yeah, you can watch it on YouTube, we can send it to a festival. We're thinking about it in every space. But imagine if you think, I'm just making this for the phone.
Yeah.
Knowing that this particular interaction is going to happen with just looking down. It's a more personal interaction. You're going to be on a portrait, mode perhaps. How do we interact with that? Knowing that gives you power to create a piece of work that can affect through that. Yeah. And you can obviously have work being screened in different things and it still have that impact. But imagine if you had made it for the phone.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, that's the commercial world now. I mean, all of the work that I'm doing in the commercial space is that. We get. You have a budget now, whatever it is, £30,000, go and make this commercial, and it's going to be a 30-second commercial, but you might have 5 or 10 deliverables of that commercial. Yeah. Make it in 16:9, make it in 1:1, make it in 9:16 for IG stories, and you have to hit all of these criteria because they're thinking about the delivery platform, but that's almost exclusive for the commercial space right now because those people are tuned in to how to catch people's eye. Yeah. But it hasn't leaked much into the creative space, I don't think, to think about multiple deliverables for creative work.
It's true, it's already present in the commercial world, but it's leaking into the creative one as well, in a sense of many different type of piece kind of take into account where it will be seen, why is it created, and it's really cool to actually, as you said, to use that commercial platform to actually analyze and see, because usually they actually create not only different formats but different
versions,
version of any type of goals they want. Because for example, we all noticed that once they put advertisements on YouTube, maybe after less than a year, most advertisements were actually straight to the point after 4 seconds because they want to get there before anyone
click onto anything else.
And for us to actually be aware of how the viewer will react, it's a good thing in a sense of we are aware of what we want them to actually feel or be when they actually watch, experience the.
When we spoke to Moore, he was talking a lot about once you're right.
Yeah.
Tamor Kakona was talking about once you understand the brain.
Okay.
So once you understand how people think.
Yeah.
Then everything, you think about things differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of business, in terms of everything, you know, once you understand how people actually think. So maybe that might be the next thing. I need to get a book on.
The brain.
On the brain, no, but how we think and look at the chimp paradox and
Yeah.
the chimp brain and the crocodile brain, the things that he was talking about there, and how we can attract those, or at least while we're making our work, going, oh yeah, that would hit the chimp brain nice.
Yeah.
Having an understanding of that gives something power, because you can give your images a certain power. Or, you know, you can direct it in that way, especially when it comes to marketing and clients. But it's an interesting discussion.
Like going a bit on the tangent, but I feel like it's somehow connected because at the moment, mostly because of the commercial aspects of especially the live shows happening, which solely it's corporate, unlike the other side, Screendance, which maybe I'll talk a bit of the inside, but later on. So because as you said, in a sense of how we experience the world, how it's so subjective, and how this interpretation is actually happening in the sense of the behavioral psychology of everything. So it's happening a lot in marketing. So without going crazy in the sense of, I'm going to use that to make people... it's really, as you said, beautiful and interesting to be aware of it, of how, as human beings, we are innately flow and we just interpret the world through many psychological filters. So to actually be aware of that may somehow enhance how we actually create those pieces to hopefully connect further with our audience.
Right, exactly, and guide how it's received.
Yeah.
We were just talking about everyone's got their own representation of how they see something, but everyone also receives the same way through the same filters. So once we understand what those are, then we tap into those personal.
I have something I want to go back to.
Are you sure? No, it wasn't. No.
Before we get too far away from it, I just have something I want to go back to. Talking about Dissent, what made you? Obviously, you had the concept.
Yeah.
What made you say, I want to develop this as on screen rather than I want to develop this on stage?
So the full story of Dissent, as a first, so that's why like experimentation is crucial, because that first piece, Loving You, already used some elements of which are present in Dissent. So Loving You was a dance film, but it was also a live piece. So Loving You is super obscure, so I'm pretty sure you haven't seen it.
I don't think
so it's quite obscure. So basically, playing again with honey, wearing plastic bags, and I'm saying that because the live version it's identical. So basically, wearing plastic bag, you don't see anything, and it was choreographed in a sense as a spiral. So we were both with Lisa Wellham, crazy dancer, crazy dancer. If you're listening, I love you. And yes, we were entering in different like right and left stage, but because like I said, we didn't see anything. We just see the lights, so we had to choreograph it in a sense of a spiral to kind of find each other. And I was doing some flip. I was doing it was crazy. And at the beginning, kind of scoop a few spoons of honey. Put the bag, and because it was the bag, we were crazy. We were insane. So plastic bag. So trying to put some holes in there, but basically the plastic bag was going up and down.
Oh god, that's scary.
Meaning that
drowned on honey.
But in a sense, it was a beautiful experience, and then that's relief, and basically, it's a bit disgusting for some people. I find it beautiful, opening the bag and sharing that honey. So all of that to say that going through a few years later to Dissent, it was a matter of really emphasize some points, some elements, as well as going somewhere else, somewhere that we haven't been. So in a sense of designing this structure, it was really to have a clear structure so that journey would make sense, in the sense of having a beginning, middle, and end.
For the other one, you had both versions. You had a film version of the stage piece and a live version of it, and they were the same. But you didn't have that for Dissent. You just had a film. So, why did it make sense as a film, but it didn't interest you as a live piece?
Just because of the play of time. Because basically, with film, you can distort time, bend it, break it. It becomes a tool that is at your disposal. And with a live stage, you can how you say that? You can stage it, you can represent it, but it will not be as...
But you still have a physical time period that you're in.
You cannot warp people in a different space.
Come back in a week and I'll finish it.
Not yet. Soon, but no.
You gotta have an interval, put the sand.
So for Dissent, it was really that sense of warping time, and because I find it was really a crucial element of it, not only visually but also in as a storytelling element, to really convey this idea and slow down to appreciate those just to appreciate those moments themselves, so to speak. So to answer your question, it's really that time element that could only be done with film.
Beautiful answer. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I've got a final question. If anyone, the guys don't have any more.
It's going to be a running theme.
Okay, so as Screendance makers, we end up kind of jumping around lots of different roles. And lots of different hats. We're wearing lots of different hats and different roles, different places. So I just wondered, out of all the roles that you've done, do you have a favourite or do you prefer to be in a room with all the instruments, kind of thing? You know?
Okay. I would say, I do have a favourite, which is directing film.
Right, cool.
Because in a sense, that's the one when I find like I can really convey and share most of the ideas that are in the room. But as you say, it's unfortunately quite the state of Screendance at the moment is operating with a really tiny team and making the most of it, which a lot of the time means that we have to be directors, producers, editors, dancers. So so it's just like switching hats, which at the beginning can be really nice in the sense of being aware.
I mean, I'm sure that's how you found out that directing is now
exactly.
Then you wouldn't have known if you hadn't dabbled into all of those different things.
That's very true.
But for me, it's always been dance. You know?
Dance,
and the more Screendance has become a business, I dance less because I'm working on the business. You know? So everyone, I'm sure we've all had. James, what's your thing? Out of all of the roles?
Cinematography, for sure.
Right. You were saying in the next year you want to just be doing cinematography straight, perhaps.
I'm still doing a little bit of post work at the moment on some of the projects that I work on, and my goal for 2020 is just by the end of 2020 I ain't touching an editing suite ever again.
What a goal.
Get rid of it.
Right,
I don't want it.
I mean, do you remember the days when editors used to only edit?
I know.
That was
Yeah,
all
yeah.
They did. They
Yeah.
cut the
Well, those people still exist, but
and then
Yeah, they do.
but it's a small pocket of people at the top of the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Editors now are required to do sound design. Are required
Oh,
to
yeah,
do the the other
Yeah.
bits that were different roles.
The job descriptions are expanding.
Yeah.
But it's also the market is expanding so quickly that our need now to create content
Yeah.
is so sought after that the supply needs to be so broad to keep up with the demand for the content.
Yeah.
So you've got so many solo filmmakers who are shooting, directing, editing, coloring, doing it all themselves, and that's because we live in a digital age where content needs to be churned out so quickly and on so many platforms.
Yeah.
Let me just do my logo.
You
so
can't
true.
pull together
So
a
true.
10-man crew for Joe Bloggs' small little shot down the road. He doesn't have the money for that, so solo filmmakers churning out content.
No, but it's
Everyone's
nice to
doing
have-
everything.
It's nice to have that, because people come to you and go, "Oh, do you want to work on something?"
Yeah.
But do you know all the things I do, or are you just asking me because you've made an assumption that you want me to be this one thing? Because I always have to ask them, "What do you want me to do?" Anna, what was your thing? I didn't say your.
It's okay. I'm not sure yet, actually.
Right.
I feel like I'm very much in a transition time. My instinct is to say dance, because obviously that's where I'm at, but I feel like that's changing, so I don't actually know the answer.
Right. Yeah, because my next.
Because when we made a recent piece, James and I together made Fractured Frames, coming soon.
Nice.
And I directed that and did more and choreographed it, but I wasn't actually in it. So, and I really loved being on that side, because that was my first experience of it. So I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's the thing that we need to keep playing. But I was going to ask the question as well. I guess if we ask ourselves, if we do have that one thing we want to do, how do we get there to that one thing? Do we have to let some things go? Or do we need to... it's a rhetoric question, we don't have to answer it.
Yeah.
It's a question for our listeners right now. Or maybe, some of you guys can answer it. Put some things in the comments and let us know what you think. If you have a goal of being one particular thing, how do we, in this day and age, where we get conditioned to be many things,
Yeah, how do
get
we become
back
a master?
to being a master
at
instead
one
of a
thing?
jack, instead of a jack of all trades, perhaps. Anyway, that's another question to kind of ask at another date. But we have to round up now. I think it's about that time. I'd like to thank you so much for joining us, Antoine.
Thank you.
Before we leave, yeah, exactly. Before we leave, just it would be nice to know if you've got anything coming up at the moment, and how can we follow you?
How can we follow you? Tell us
what's
all
your
your...
websites, Instas, whatever you want to give to us, so the guys can follow you.
Sure thing. I don't really use frequently anything.
Some people have different ways of moving
But I
around.
would say, to keep an eye out on my
AntoineMarc.com.
website, AntoineMarc.com. I put some stuff on the news. But it'll be a matter of just because I think it's always really nice, things like that, like I was saying, to really share ideas and so always open to new stuff. Now and then I receive some random emails and which I really, really enjoy. So it'll be whether it's Instagram or anything. Just
So reach out and have a coffee with him.
yeah. I'm really cheap. So tea or coffee, I'm good.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll catch you soon. This is the MDC Talks.
Yoo-hoo.
Bye-bye.